It is an absolutely beautiful morning at our mountain homestead. It appears everything is pristine, picture perfect, and peaceful. But alas, looks can be deceiving. You know how you have those times in life where it's like nothing goes as planned? Everything feels out of control. In this video, I'm going to be doing some homemaking and homesteading, and we're going to talk about when everything seems completely out of control and like life is overwhelming and like you're drowning. Whether or not you homestead or not, this video will help you. You know how you have those times in life where nothing goes as planned, everything feels out of control. It feels like some unseen force has completely taken control and is wreaking havoc. And before you know it, you are so behind that you're just not sure how you're gonna get caught up. I am in one of those seasons right now. Fortunately for me, I have been a homemaker and building homesteading skills and a homeschool mom for a couple decades now. Not a homeschool mom for a couple decades, only 15 years or 16 years, can't remember anymore. I have learned that throughout all of these years, a little secret that I'm going to share with you when it feels like you are just drowning and there's no way out. My name is Shayla. I'm a homemaker, a homeschool mom, 2-6. Actually, my oldest is graduated and my second oldest is about to graduate. We have a homestead, and if there is one thing that I know well, it's that feeling of overwhelm. I personally do have ADHD, so with that come things like additional anxiety. So for me, the overwhelm is really something I have had to deal with a lot in my life. And I do know a thing or two about how to overcome it. In this video, I'm spending a week trying to get my home back in order after almost a week of power outages, after a full month of sicknesses, after all the tax season rushes and craziness of unforeseen life circumstances. In this video, you're going to get a very real life picture of what my homemaking, homestead, and homeschooling journey is like right now and how it's been disrupted. I'm going to show you the raw and real messes. I'll be sharing how I deal with and work myself out of situations like this, spiritually and practically. I'll also share some Bible verses that help and days in the life, as well as a grocery haul. And I'm going to share with you one trick that I learned how to do around 12 years ago that just made all the difference in the world when I was feeling overwhelmed, and it's a trick that I still use today when I'm feeling like life is too much. This one trick helps me climb out of that awful negative mindset and transcend it to a better place. In these scenes, we are in the middle of one of a series of power outages. This is a 2-part series, and in part 2, I will give you a homestead update, and I'm also going to share a few tips I have for getting through power outages. But first, here is how getting as behind as we are right now started. A little over a month ago, my kids brought home the flu from church. So there went a month, because it takes a long time for a sickness like that to work through a large family. It's not like you're sick for a week. It's like you're sick for weeks and you're dealing with sickness for weeks. That's one of the hard things about having a larger family. Sadly, it's one of the things about having a larger family that a lot of people don't understand. For a lot of smaller families, yeah, you know, that's might not be a big deal because you're sick for just a week. But in large families like ours, it's a very big deal. My husband doesn't get paid time off work and he had to work through it. It was just a nightmare. We had in and out of doctor's offices. It was just bad. So I want to just quarantine right now because the doctor said in our area there's so many bugs going around right now, and I'm like, great. Okay, well, I just want to stay home for a while now. I'm not going anywhere. But right as everybody's starting to feel well, and I'm thinking, okay, now we can work on getting caught up again. Then the power starts going out. The power kept going off and on for a 5-day period. We had days without power. We had nights without power. And meanwhile, we're trying to keep animals alive that need heat through the night still. So there went another week, because when the power was on, it was basically race. We've got to get this amount of laundry done. We have a big stack of dishes we got to get done, and just lots of catching up to do. Each time the power would come back on, and then it would go right back off again. So the last month and a half have just been, you know, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can do in situations like that. Everything gets turned upside down. For the last 3 days, I'm finally getting an opportunity to try to get caught up again, but honestly, it's just been overwhelming. I'm looking around at everything that was either ruined or that needs to be done, and I feel like I'm drowning. But there's only one way to tackle that, and it's to start somewhere. So the first somewhere that I'm starting is saying, okay, we're not going anywhere, we're not doing anything until we have our lives back in order. The kids are still in school. Today is a school day. So the kids are, all of the kids are doing their school lessons, except the youngest. I need to do lessons with him, and then we are going to see where to start after that. Later today, I am going to make an apple crisp. I'm also going to make some spring rolls. But before I can get to any of that, I need to try to get the house in order. I also need to check the farm animals. I am sure everybody's home has times where it looks like their home had an upset stomach. Well, ours looks like it had an upset stomach and like a farm threw up in our home. One of the reasons for this is we have chicks that need heat, and when there's no power, there's no heat. So we had to bring them in the house where the wood stove was going to keep them warm and alive. As you can see, they didn't approve of their little box and had a mind of their own about how they were going to behave in the house. We tried to keep up with laundry, but because the power was so sporadic about going off and on and then flickering in between, we got nervous that we were going to lose a major appliance. At one point, our breaker tripped for our deep freeze, and we thought we lost it. Fortunately, it was just a tripped breaker, but we were afraid that a power surge was going to cause other appliances to break. So we ended up unplugging the washer and dryer because it's not something we can afford to replace right now. So essentially, laundry is something we got very in over our heads with. In this scene, I'm sitting down to eat a couple eggs and pull out my planner and do a little bit of planning and mapping things out. When life gets like it is for me right now, I've learned not to underestimate the power of eating nutritious meals to keep my brain and body fueled. And the other lesson that I've learned is to get it out of my head and get it on paper. So all of the things burdening me, bothering me, overwhelming me that need to be done, just get it on paper, so it's not rolling around in my brain anymore. This way I'm not flooded with thoughts of, oh, I need to remember to do this, and I need to remember to do that, and oh, I can't forget this, and oh, I did forget that. It is the end of the week, and I know that I'm still recovering, and I'm not going to be able to do as much as normal, so I'm trying not to plan too much right now. I'm trying to just plan the most important things that need to be done and see where they'll fit. I haven't even had time to plan lately. When my schedule looks like this, all blank, it's never a good week. If I don't have a list of the things that need to be done, I'm at an age where my brain just doesn't work like it used to. And if it's not written down, it's not happening. Got this food that needs to be put away. Gotta get these things in bags before weevils get to them. Need to clean out the fridges and see what food is about to go bad and needs to be used. The house has not been properly cleaned in about over a month since before we got sick. And I'd like to have a restful Sunday, so I gotta figure out how to get some food made for the weekend. But I also have to leave tomorrow because I gotta go to a plant sale. We have some plants that we need to unload, and I would like to sell them. Going down to check the goats. They're due to kid any day now. In overwhelming seasons, I found that if you do not seize moments to enjoy, seize moments to breathe, seize moments to get a moment of rest, you're not as productive. You'll feel so spread thin. And I found that just brief moments to go outside or do something enjoyable can be so rejuvenating and bring so much life. While we're out here, I'll take you and show you the greenhouse, what we've got done in the garden so far. What I've done in here is we got the greenhouse set up, but before we set it completely in place, we took black plastic and laid it down. You can't see it, but it covers the whole swath, and we have it buried underneath here. And inside the greenhouse, it looks like my farmer boy. He's keeping everything good and watered. I cut with scissors these slits. This is a greenhouse I started very early in the year when it was way too early to plant. Everything I would have planted would have died because it had been too cold because we live way north. So what I did is I started these first. Now I am going to just take these out. This is just a first crop. I'm going to take it all out and harvest it pretty soon, maybe in about a month. Then I'm going to plant more tomatoes in here. So this is going to be a tomato greenhouse. I went ahead and I planted some. I was afraid it might be too early to plant. Obviously it wasn't. These have been in here a week and they're doing great. Got some lettuce, spinach. Up there I have some early green onions. About a month after we planted in this greenhouse, it was safe to start our second crop, which is out here. Here we have our peas and carrots. We've got some potatoes planted over here. Came down and planted more cold weather crops like some cabbage. So this is our early harvest garden. It's always ideal to plant in stages so you've got a longer harvest season. We got a really big garden here. We're gonna do 20-foot rows, probably 3 rows of 20-foot rows. In just 1 month, everything's going to be ready to plant. We need to wait a little longer because we still have hard frosts where we live. Now back to the house. Another lesson that I've learned that helps me navigate times like this is keeping what is most important at the forefront. For me, my priorities remain fairly simple. They are keeping the kids fed, healthy, and schooled. Home educating does take a large portion of time. Less now than it used to, since most of my kids are older and most of them are old enough to do more independent studies now. I still have a couple younger ones that need my help, but knowing that home educating is going to take a certain amount of time each day and a permanent place in each day helps me to manage my time. So basically knowing what can stay, what can't, and making sure that what needs to be there has a permanent and structured scheduled time each day. And that kind of helps anchor things a little bit. Something that I've learned helps me so much when life feels out of control is just savor moments like this with the kids. Every day when I'm doing school with this little guy, he always gives me a hug. I'm not sure there's anything more calming than when a child is being loving like this. There's so much focus about how children keep us wound up. They keep us on our toes. They keep us busy. How many times have we all heard, boy, you've got your hands full. But the truth is, there are trade-offs, and they're equally as good at helping us to slow down and stop and smell the roses if we're able to pay attention. Another lesson that I've learned is that teamwork is dream work. I could try to tackle getting everything back in order myself, or I could ask for help. I've learned that when you take the time to train your kids, you can make what would have been a full day's work for you of cleaning the house take maybe 2-3 hours at most. Listen, kids need to know how to clean a house. They're going to have a home someday. They're going to need to know how to clean it. And let's face it, in most homes, kids are the biggest mess makers. There's nothing wrong with teaching them how to clean up after themselves. Teamwork makes dream work. You're teaching them an important life skill that they are going to need and that is going to bless them all their life long. Another lesson that I've learned in really overwhelmed seasons is to ask for prayer. It never fails that when I reach out to a friend or a family member and I ask them to pray for me, it's almost instant relief. Sometimes I wonder, is it just talking about it, or is it just that 2 people are stronger than 1? Maybe it's a little bit of both, but what I do know for sure is that prayer helps. One of the things that has just been overwhelming me lately is the cost of living. It is crazy in our state. We live in one of the more expensive states, one of the most expensive states to live in, and this is where I was born and raised. And it's not been easy because of that either, and it's been overwhelming. There's been nights where I haven't been able to sleep. That little bit of groceries I just bought, which I'll spread out when we get home, and you can see, and I'll show it too. That little bit of groceries that we got was $218. I'm not kidding. The cost of living in our state is crazy, and they're constantly trying to raise the taxes more and more and more. And there's been nights where I haven't been able to sleep. One morning at about 3 o'clock in the morning, was half asleep, half awake, and I really think it was the Spirit of the Lord falling on me to comfort me. And the verse, my video cut out, but I can continue what I'm saying here. One morning, as I was half asleep, half awake, a verse came to mind. I was waking up, worried as usual. And the verse came to mind, Psalms 127:2, which reads, "It is vain for you to rise up early, to retire late, to eat the bread of painful labors, for he gives to his beloved even in his sleep." And that's the part of the verse that came to mind. When I remembered that verse, it was just like a healing balm to my heart. It comforted me and reminded me that it's God's job to provide. It's mine to pray that he does and trust that he will. It's now time for the frugal tips chapter of this video. I have 2 grocery hauls. This is the first one. We have a place called Winco in our state, and it's where I like to go to get produce. Normally the rolled oats are cheaper there, but lately I'm seeing they are cheaper at Azure Standard. We are running out of our homegrown chicken, so I am starting to supplement with store-bought, and I found these for a pretty good price. I did get some ground hamburger at a good price at another store. A little trick that I found to do though is to, when I'm making tacos or something, blend the hamburger with some ground turkey. Another thing I've been doing, since one of our kids was diagnosed with multiple food allergies, he can't have pre-made sausage, so I've been making my own, and I make it with ground pork, ground turkey, and also meatballs with the 3 meats is really good. Do you love steak? Well, look at this. This is like $10.41 a pound. Steak where we live is so expensive, but I crave it. And as you can imagine, it's very rare that we can afford steak. What you can do instead is get a roast like this. Look for them when they're on sale. And what you can do is chunk them up and make steak bites instead. I got this idea from my sister. You just douse these with lots of garlic and they're absolutely delectable. I normally get affordable spices from Azure Standard, where I find they're the cheapest, but second best is bulk sections like this. By the way, see these whole spices? Whenever you see whole spices, opt for those instead of ground. They have more flavor. Another frugal tip is always check out the industrial or bulk sections of store. You can usually get much better prices in these sections. I know that we do. Now what you're looking at is a Costco haul. This Costco haul, some of it's going to last us into 2 months, but most of it is going to be for about a month. The cost of this haul was $586 in our state. Normally, I won't have to get as much dairy though. See all the cheeses? As soon as our goats kid and I'm able to milk again, most of the dairy products are going to be cut out because I'll be able to make them. I'm very, very much so looking forward to that again. We are a family of 8. We try to keep our grocery budget to about $1,500, but there's times that we're not able to. When our garden's in full swing, the goats are in milk, the chickens are laying well, we're definitely able to. Now keep in mind, we are a larger family of 8. And we have teenagers, and we live in one of the most expensive states to live in. So all of that considered, I feel like we do pretty well with our grocery bills. We do manage. If we weren't growing as much as we do, though, I'm not sure how we would. And again, we also raise our own meat birds as well. So I'm not sure what we would do if it wasn't for all of that. I'm really grateful for our farm. I have a free little printable booklet for you if you would like. It's on how to stock your pantry and your refrigerators and basically food storage. I've got tips for how to do this even if you're on a budget. It's free when you sign up for my newsletters. Speaking of farm, look at these beautiful eggs I'm getting from our chickens. We've got Morans, cream leg bars, olive eggers. I've got buff Orpingtons and Australorps, and we are just rolling in the eggs right now. I've learned how to hatch chickens and stagger them so that as the older group of chickens is slowing down egg production, the younger chickens are starting to just get started and pick up. And this is helping us to keep a more steady supply of eggs for our family. Over here, I am soaking a lot of beans. I'm going to soak these for at least a day, and then I'm going to can them. Normally I like to do this in the winter time, and had we not been sick, I wouldn't have gotten it done about a month ago, and it was still really cold outside, but better late than never. I like having these to eat on through the summer. I also like to can my beans because we have an abundance of empty jars right now, so instead of just having them take up space on the shelves, may as well fill them with something while we wait for the late summer and autumn harvest. My helpers, whom I am so grateful for, are helping me put these away right now. It's starting to get to be later in the day, and I am starting to get a little bit tired. Speaking of tired, have you ever noticed that when the day is starting to wane on and you're running out of energy, that's usually when the worst of an overwhelmed spell hits? At least it is for me. I found it helps so much to take a break later on in the afternoon. Of course, times like this, there's not much time for me to take a break. But I know Sunday's coming, and on Sunday I will definitely rest. If you struggle with a lot of overwhelm, that is a video you might be interested in watching. It's a video I did a little while back with one of the biggest things that helped me stay productive and battle overwhelm. But since we're talking about overwhelm triggers, let's talk about another one, and it is dealing with little losses around the home and the homestead. When the power went out, my youngest little boy, about 15 minutes after it went out the first time, he exclaimed, "The chicks in the incubator!" Yeah, that's right. I had 2 incubators going full of chicks. Over the course of the power outages, over the days, and as each day or night went by without power, I knew that the chances of the chicks in the incubator surviving were less and less and less. Now the chicks, some of them were for me. Some are for other people though, friends even. I've got a couple that are waiting and have been waiting. So it was very discouraging knowing that each day that passed, there was less chance that the chicks in the incubator would survive. Little things like that can overwhelm me quite quickly. It was a loss. It was a loss I was looking at, and there was nothing I could do about it, except maybe cover the incubators with a blanket and hope for the best, which is what we did. But when a series of things like that happen, sometimes they have a way of knocking us off balance. And that is essentially where I've been at the last couple months. It's just been one thing after another, beyond just the sickness and the power going out. Maybe you saw my video a while back about how our well pump went out. And it's just like bam, 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 just one thing after another. And when a series of things like this happen in a row, it has a way of knocking us off balance sometimes. The house is starting to come together a little bit, thankfully. This concludes part 1 of this video series. Be sure to come back on Thursday for part 2, where we will continue talking about this topic of overwhelm when everything seems out of control. We'll do some cooking, and I'll show you around the place a little bit more, plus give some great power outage tips and a couple more Bible verses that I found that really comforted me recently.